He's the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Urban Meyer back on the show. What's the question you dread when you show up for media day?
Oh, let's see. It's when a young person has some kind of off the field issue or something. That's when if something happened or is going to happen, and those kind of questions. But the good thing is we didn't have many this time.
Can you keep it just football? I mean, how hard is that to just say this is about football? That it's, I don't know. I think that we know so much now, and there's so much off the field that is exposed to us, or at least we pry into it. But how do you, as a coach, say that? Let me keep this about football.
It's interesting when other coaches get together. That conversation comes up all the time, and the evolution of social media, and just so many people out there trying to get information out of you. That's a topic of when coaches get together all the time. How do you just, you want to protect your players. You want to make sure that that you do keep it on football, because if someone says something maybe that it's taken out of context, and that just distracts your team. And so that topic comes up every year when I'm either with friends or you're in actually Big Ten meetings or SEC meetings, and how do you just keep this on football and not distract your team? So, yeah, you wish you could, but those days are gone.
Do you have freshman seminars for social media?
Oh, yeah. I have a full-time staff member that's all he does is, not all he does, but that's part of his player relations, is watch that social media and keep an eye on it. We've now also started to, an idea Chip Kelly had was we'd watch the social media of the players we're recruiting.
Now, so you investigate them. You're looking at Twitter, their feeds, Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on that, but we'll get a social profile of players we recruit now. Not every one of them, but I mean, if there's any chance of a red flag, we'll put together several pages of pictures and copy a lot of the social media profiles of players and see what they're doing.
Can you imagine Woody Hayes doing that?
Yeah, but I think I know in the NFL they're really starting to do it, and once again I went to visit Chip Kelly, and we spent time, and when he started showing that to me, and we have found a few things that kind of disturbs you, and that just causes further investigation. But no, I think Woody Hayes, if he was a coach in 2014, he'd do it.
He's Urban Meyer, the Ohio State head coach, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. I think looking at your roster, you got one kid from Michigan. How often do you go to Michigan or recruit in Michigan?
We recruit up there pretty hard. I have a coach, Kerry Combs, who blankets that area pretty hard, and it's really good high school football. So, yeah, that's an area that we're hitting very, very hard.
But is it one of those that we can steal one from Michigan, or do you get people saying from Ohio, we don't need anybody from Michigan to help us win?
Oh, I think the team up north rivalry is intense as ever, but we do. If there's a good football player, we're going to try to get him wherever he is. Okay, but
are you more welcome in Michigan or Gainesville if you're looking at a recruit?
Great question. I've been welcome in both very very much. We've not had to go into Gainesville yet, but I think there's a perception out there, and I'm not sure where it comes from. But I have still great friends and very cordial with all the high school coaches in Florida.
Oh, but it came out. Didn't your wife have a comment that, Gator Nation, just get over it? Wasn't that recently?
I'm not aware of. I heard a little bit something about it, but I didn't follow much up on it.
You didn't follow up with your wife?
No, she's a big girl. She can take care of herself.
14 playoff. How does that change strategy in scheduling or regular? Is there any strategy to this that might be different than just trying to play for a national title game?
I think there is. We haven't really figured it out yet. We have had conversations with Gene Smith about scheduling. That's something I kind of try to keep out of. I listen and give a couple of suggestions and move on. I think as this thing evolves, strength of schedule will be an issue, and so we've addressed it. We've got a good schedule this year, and our future schedules. You're always going to try to have a top 10 opponent on there, and then good competition. So it's been discussed. I think as this thing evolves, though, I think you're going to see a lot of strategies start to show up.
What about the schools, 1AA schools? Big Ten is now the FCS schools. You're shying away from scheduling them. Is that correct?
I think so. Once again, I've not been involved in that. When I hear about the separation of the Big Five and the little guys, and when I was at Utah, or the have and have-nots, I think the terms people are using, that when I was at Utah, we had a great football team. I would hear people say, well, they're not a BCS school, and I would come out and say, we're better than most BCS schools. How can you say that? So I just worry about, there's a lot of good football players. Has been some, Boise States of the world, Utahs of the world. Even when I was at Bowling Green, we were undefeated against the BCS conference schools. I think we're 4-0. So when you start separating, I'm not sure that's the right thing to do. But once again, I'm going to try to worry about what I can keep control of. Yeah,
but Coach, I think it feels like the NCAA is trying to phase them out. Like there's going to be this separation, the big conferences seceding from the NCAA. There's just too much money, too much power there, and it just feels like, you guys can have your own little football conferences and league, and we're going to let the big boys over here play. I don't like it, but right. I think that's what's happening.
Well, what happens is you have these conversations about, taking care of the players' stipends, unlimited training table. And when I was at Bowling Green, they were saying we didn't have a training table when I first got there. And so we went and started it, and it wasn't great to begin with, but you just don't have the resources. So that's where that's all coming from. I'm just not concerned that's the right thing. I'm just not sure that's the right thing to do. It sounds like you're not either.
No, I worry about it because I do love when Appalachian State plays Michigan or Georgia Southern gets a chance. I never want to leave out Boise State. If we would have excluded Utah in your guys' incredible run. So I think there's great stories there. I just worry that it's about too much money in the big conferences, and we're going to say the hell with those nice little stories.
And then you think about the impact of the financial rewards of the teams that go play them and how that impacts not only football, but the non-revenue sports as well. So those are real questions and concerns.
All right, it's late July. Can you tell me how good your team is going to be?
I'm going to give you a typical coach speak. I think we're going to be really good. But there's so many factors. We work so hard, Dan, on the leadership component, on we call it Brotherhood of Trust. We've had 2 4-week sessions with our players where we actually have graduation ceremonies once they graduate the course. And Wednesday's our final graduation ceremony. I can't imagine a team working harder on the intangible aspects of football like we have. So I'm really excited. We're talented. We have some youth issues, but everyone does, so we're real excited to get going.
Final question. That the expectation level is always winning a championship. And I think, how tough is it to live up to that? Though you want it, but the expectation level is going to be there because you're Urban Meyer and it's, Ohio State.
I think it's real. I felt it on our team last year when we went on the win streak, and I try to watch that. I've been through it now for quite a while, so I try to give some experience to it and focus on the task at hand. But no one forced these players to come to Ohio State. No one forced these coaches, and that's part of you get those top 5, 6, 7 programs, and that's the way it is. You have to win every game you play and embrace it and try to do it. And if you can't, then just rebound and try to win the next one. So we have a good handle on that here.
Enjoy the rest of the summer, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Dan. Good to talk to you.
Urban Meyer, the Ohio State head coach.